So there are two kinds of compositions for the Aurora Borealis project. One is reflective, where you'll draw a reflective line on your background paper and you will mirror top and bottom across from each other. At the end, you will adhere your symmetrical skyline. The other composition is a bottom skyline. It's a little bit easier to figure this out because you just need to put the skyline at the bottom. So one reason we're using reference images is to give a convincing Aurora Borealis. Artists like to make sure that what they do looks natural. Of course, sometimes they like it to look stylized or like a cartoon. But for this project, I want to try the naturalistic observational method. So really looking at an image and trying to capture, although it doesn't have to be exactly the same, trying to capture what nature makes this phenomenon look like. So I'm looking for the light areas and I'm using a white pastel to go under my colors. I do suggest that you make your lines as bright as possible and use a lot of pigment, lots of etching in on your paper with your chalk or your soft pastel. Look for parts that are hard edges and soft, cloudy parts, and you'll be mimicking the way that these magnetic light displays really work. So after I get all of my pigment down, I carefully begin to blur it the way that the sky can make it appear. If your fingers get a little bit too muddy up with color, keep a wet paper towel or hand wipe near you. Of course, if you're cleaning your hands, make sure and dry your hands in between. We don't want any wetness involved in this process. It will make it so that your chalk isn't working on your paper the way you want to. So even if you're using a brush to blend, do not use any moisture. So I'm really taking my time here to blend the chalk in the way that I see it looking in the sky. Super fun. And when you're finished, you can glue that skyline to the bottom. For the symmetrical one, I'm going to very softly blend everything. I don't want to see chalk marks. I want it to look like light. So we won't see lines or scribbles or even side chalk rubbing. We're just going to see the pigment billowing out, of course, from behind your tree line so we can see your beautiful cutting, but then also up in the sky. And once you have finished with all of the light that will be behind your skyline, you can carefully add some glue stick to the back of your skyline. Notice the chalk that's going to be behind my tree line is not very thick. It's thin chalk or no chalk, but it'll come right down to that silhouette edge of the trees. Here I'm making sure that even though my glue stick is a little chunky, I'm flattening it out. I'm getting it all over the back of the tree line. And that was the side that had pencil marks and a little bit more chalk. And then the side that is showing is the perfectly black, crispy side. So here I am using an eraser to complete the edges the way I see them in the photograph to the left. Your eraser can take some chalk off. Just make sure and clean off your eraser with a paper towel. Then the last step for a reflective landscape is to make the bottom half look like a body of calm, still water. So here I'm adding a white line across the horizon line. And then from everything there and below, I'm adding some little ripples that would be in the water and really concentrating on the areas that would be bright with light, with extra ripples. Nothing too turbulent, just some subtle lines to add some shine in the water.